Welcome back again. I'm still Darcy Walsh, and I'm still your host. And I've brought back a guest because anyone that watched the initial episode is probably like, why can't I quite see or hear properly? So thank you, Autumn, for coming back on the show. I did want to apologize for not having the proper gear with me when we recorded before. So thank you for participating in that. It looked cool.
It looked really cool.
Yeah.
We just sounded like we were underwater.
Yeah. So
Adds to the charm.
Today you came right to the source to make sure that I didn't have an excuse of not having the gear.
Yeah.
So I definitely feel as threatened by you personally as I do by Newfoundland as a whole. So I will consider myself on notice here.
Well, my relatives are from Cape Breton, so I feel like
it's
like close enough. But
you know what? I did describe the experience. It was my first time in Newfoundland, and I met some people that were.
It's like a drunker Cape Breton. No,
I was saying for Newfoundland people that haven't been to Cape Breton, that Cape Breton's like a mini Newfoundland.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know.
It's because it's just island folk.
Yeah.
You know, they all get up to their own shenanigans.
So we had covered quite a bit when we did talk, and it was a fairly short episode. Mm-hmm. So if there's anything you want to elaborate on, for sure, we can do that now. But let's go back for people that maybe didn't watch that particular episode. So you were from the Truro area.
Yeah. Toronto, Scotia.
And you and I had met up in Halifax for Food for the Ear. So did you know Ethan Chitty that runs that? Like, did you know him from the Truro area before?
I played in a couple bands with him.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So let's dive into your history with him.
Okay.
And then how it kind of goes into your solo. Because you had mentioned before that you played in bands, mm-hmm. but you kind of prefer at this time to play solo, similar to the way Hunter was describing that he's doing it the way he wants to do it now. It's not the absence of a band, it's that he's chosen to be solo. So where you're doing the same, I would like to hear a little bit about the history of you being in bands, because it doesn't sound like it's a problem with the people themselves. You're obviously still connected with some of them.
Yep. So I started off in the Still Guys Are band. I started as a fill-in bassist and backup vocalist, and then they kept me as the fill-in bassist. So I played with them up until it was probably about a year, and then that's when they all graduated high school and they were all going to different colleges and universities. So there was like, okay, well, one went to Quebec, one went to Amherst or Antigonish, and then they all spread apart. And then, but Ethan stayed in Halifax, and then he started his band that he's got going now, and I did guitar for like 2 shows, and then I was like, I can't travel back and forth to Halifax for this. So it was good. I enjoyed it, but it didn't make sense for me to continue doing that.
Now I am aware that you're of a younger age, so it's kind of a transitionary time as far as what you're going to do going into adulthood and as far as where you're going to be located. But it sounds like you're pretty grounded in the Truro area, so
don't say that. I don't want to get stuck here.
Well, yeah, you obviously have a lot of opportunities in front of you, and that's kind of what I'm getting at, is that with the time in your life, I'm throwing a lot of stereotypes and assumptions in here too.
Okay.
But given the time that you are experiencing the back and forth between Halifax and Truro and deciding you want to just stay in the Truro area, and you're established yourself as a musician, is that your intention to stay kind of rooted in this area long term?
Well, I'm just getting out of college in June. Mm-hmm. So once I'm done college, it'll be like, oh, well, wherever my next job is, and then I will go from there. I don't want to be in a city that much. I don't like the big crowds. Lots of people to watch. But no, it's Truro's not a bad place. It's Truro, but I like Nova Scotia a lot. I would definitely stay in the Maritimes, but I wouldn't stay where I'm from. I don't think right now.
And is that more of a, maybe looking for a bigger population center like Halifax, or
No.
is it you're just looking for a different, the right vibe, like the place where you kind of?
I like the rural area a lot. I like being in the. So if there's any real estate agents that are watching, if no, I'm just kidding, but I like a smaller population than I would a big city for sure.
And now we had talked a little bit about what you do when you perform live, and that you do work covers in and kind of play to the room as one has to when they're doing that type of gig. But you had also alluded to like 200 original songs that you've written to date.
Yeah.
So what is, and we had just talked about this, but once again, for those that haven't seen it, and for those that have, maybe there's been an update in the short period of time that's passed. But what are your intentions with those songs going into the future?
I don't think I'll record every single one of them because that's a lot of recording. But I would love to get something out sometime. I've been in contact with people, and it's the whole just getting out of college thing. It's like I want to be set and established to be able to produce something that I want is to the quality where I want. There's nothing wrong with people sitting down and strumming and recording that and getting that out, but I don't feel that's what I want to put out personally yet.
And so do you have, you're finishing school up, you said June?
Yep.
So do you have plans for next year to continue in any type of education, or is it time to get a full-time square job? Or are
Square?
You, I have one myself. Or are you planning on being a full-time musician?
I will not be a full-time musician. I will keep doing that on the side. I think that's a great... So I would love to do that full-time, but realistically, that's not possible right now. Anyways, it's just with how it... I find it's not a sustainable career. It's that's not to bash anybody that does do that, and they can get a sustainable career to that. For me personally, I would have to go get a... I'm getting employed by the government, so that's where I'm going next after school. I did look at more education, but I'm not.
Sure.
Not in my cards right now. It could be later on, but.
And I do know that a lot of people, I definitely have a little bit of the yin yang where I need a little bit of that structure that I have in my corporate career as well.
That's the other thing, is it's a very up and down career as well. If you were to do music, but I love it as a side thing. I love doing music as a hobby and getting paid for it on top of that and getting to share that with people. I really enjoy that. But I also do enjoy a structure of a work-life balance.
And so for live performances, if you continue down that path, are you planning on maybe getting back and kind of counterintuitive to what we already talked about, getting a little bit on the road with the music, like once school's done and you have a little bit more freedom where you're not working on those assignments and you can backfill some of that time with your music?
Yep. I've got, I think, a good 6 to 7 gigs solidified right now for over the summer. But yeah, no, I love doing live music. I love going to live music. I love playing live music, and I like getting out there when I can.
And so for people that are maybe a couple years behind where you are as far as where you've developed yourself, do you have any recommendations or suggestions? Because there's a lot of people, I mean, there's a lot of Nova Scotians that would be tuning into this, but even outside of our specific region, there's probably a lot of people that are in a similar position where they're home writing songs and maybe starting to get out there and perform live. You're a little bit further ahead of the game where you've been doing it a little bit longer, and you hit like 200 songs is a lot of songs. So being that you have some experience, is there any advice you'd give maybe to yourself a couple of years ago?
So this is, I actually had a girl message me, or she DM'd me on Instagram probably about 2-3 weeks ago. And she's like, I'm not from the area. And she's a couple of years younger than me. I'm moving to this area. How do you get out and you get gigs? How do you get your feet wet? Start getting, I lost my train of thought. Start getting venues and stuff. I am, I said go to open mics. I think that's the best way to get seen and recognized. And if the place likes your stuff, they'll keep having you back. And it's is also just go start emailing places, get in there, go to the venues, make yourself visible, ask the waitress or the owner if they do live music. And I love talking to people, so I didn't have a difficult time doing that, but other people might.
Yeah.
Have a hard time getting out there, but it's nothing to be embarrassed about going out and doing. It's definitely worth the effort to put in to do it.
I'm definitely aware that it's easy for me as well to go out and talk to most people, but I am aware that that is something that some artists maybe struggle with, because as much as Megan and I were talking about ADHD, anxiety, something that comes up quite a bit when I'm talking to people in the arts community. So I know that is a little bit more difficult for some people. So I definitely think that those people as well can probably find people like yourself that are out there that are maybe in the same circles that they want to be in. And if you find 2 or 3 vocal friends out there, maybe you can form your own little circle. But it seems like you do have your own little community. Like I said, I met you in Halifax, so you have a little community up there, and you do have a community in the Truro area. So what's been the exposure like as far as like your audience for listening? Like you haven't recorded yet, so you're not getting Spotify statistics to look at and finding that somebody in some faraway country's listening. But do you have any type of, because you like to talk to people, do you have any feedback from your audience? Do you know where people are coming from that are hearing your music?
I have had people from all over province, as far as I know currently. I find the crowd that I play to is generally over 35 is where my range seems to be, or maybe that's just the kind of people that I catch when they're going out. But that just seems to be the type of music that attracts that age range that I do personally. But
it's funny that you noted that too, because where you mentioned Ethan, the Ethan Tyler band is genre-wise, and what you're doing genre-wise, although they're not the same, they would, to me, lean towards an older demographic.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily find that that's... It's not the norm, even though I wouldn't say that it's unusual. It's just not what all of the younger artists are doing. So does that come from an influence from like your family, like growing up? Is that just that you were exposed to different genres and so you're playing what you know?
So my mother is from Cape Breton, and so is her side of the family, and they all like that, like your Celtic kind of music, Rankin Family, like all that kind of genre. And then my father really likes the rock stuff, soft rock, all that kind of older country. And I find my music is a mix of all of that. And on my own, I listen to everything because I love all types of music. I can find... I shouldn't say I love all types of music, but I can have a respect for all types of music.
Sure.
Yeah.
So probably look for you in a couple of years to be on like a Stanfest lineup.
I would love to do that.
Blueberry Jam, maybe.
Yes,
that one. So that gives people, rather than me labeling you with a specific genre, I think that kind of paints an image for anyone that's on the East Coast that listens to that type of music would get those references enough.
I'd say it is very East Coast music. East Coast. Dare I say I have East Coast DNA in how I write.
I like it.
So
I feel like I might have to clip that for Instagram.
If you want to, you go right ahead.
Yeah, I think that's happening in the near future. So I did get you to come all the way down the highway.
It was a long walk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't believe that nobody picked you up. It was a beautiful day out there.
Actually, when I hitchhike, I go with the thumbs down.
Yeah,
ruin everybody's day. Don't pick me up.
Yeah, you're just disappointing people left, right, and center. So we are going to travel to the next community over and check out an open mic over there. So I think I'm going to try to capture some performances maybe when we're on site. We'll see what we can do here this evening. So anybody that's watching this, I want them to stick around, watch your performance, but also follow you online. So where should they be following you online?
So my name is MacKay, and you can find me on Instagram and Facebook. And it's I assume my name will be on. He'll have the spelling, so if you can just look at the video name below. But yeah.
And I had mentioned that there will be some shows coming up that I'll be promoting from here as well. That I will be hosting some, so I'll definitely be mentioning you again because you'll be involved with that series. But for anyone that isn't already following East Coast DNA, I'd like you to hit subscribe now. And if you stick around, then we'll give you a little musical performance. And for yourself, I definitely want you to keep in contact. I think that it's inevitable with our geographic location, but sounds like you might have aspirations in the future to journey around a little bit further. So
Sure
definitely keep in contact and let us know what's going on. And we'll have you back on sometime in the future and give people an update on what you've been up to.
That sounds good.
All right. Thanks again. And we'll see everyone else very soon. Bye.
She said, it's 2:15.